Okay, the second part of the video is going to talk about parallel figures, perpendicular figures, congruent line segments, and congruent angles. Parallel figures are when you have two lines that are basically never going to cross. So this line right here and this line right here are parallel, and you can tell that because they have these little parallel markings. These right here, those arrows pointing in the same direction, indicate that they are parallel figures. So in this case, we could say that line DJ, and again, I'm going to make a line with those little arrows, is parallel to FA. And that is just indicating, so DJ, this line right here, that's this line, is parallel to, so this marking means is parallel, and then these arrows is how I mark that in the figure. So this is how I write it down, this is how I mark it in the figure. We can also say, because we have another set of parallel lines here, and notice this only has one marking, this has two markings. That's how we tell them apart. So like these two are going to be parallel to each other, and these two are going to be parallel to each other. So another set of parallel lines that we could say is we could say that EH, or HE, I guess I'm writing it that way, HE is parallel to GD. And it just happened that I had a line and a line segment, a line and a line segment. You could have had them right here, or two line segments, as you like. But so I've got two sets of parallel lines here that are indicated like that. Perpendicular figures is when you get a 90-degree angle. And so that is marked by this like little square angle marker. So in this case, we have that CD, that line segment, is perpendicular to, and there's a lot of ways that you could name, so here's CD. I need to just name this line or line segment or whatever. In this case, I'm just going to call it DJ, that line segment, but you have a couple of other options as well. So this little square is how I indicate it in the figure, in the picture, the diagram. This is how I write it down in like a math sentence. This symbol means perpendicular. Congruent line segments are just line segments that are the same length. And in this case, we use like these little blue tick marks to indicate that. So hopefully you can see that I have 3 line segments that are noted with these 2 blue tick marks, and then I have 2 line segments that are noted with 1 blue tick mark. That is my way of telling you that like JD or GD is not necessarily the same length as GF, but GF and FA are totally the same length. So the way that I would write that down is if I wanted to, I'd write that GF is congruent, that's what this symbol is, this little like equals with the squiggle on top of it, is equal to FA. I could also continue that and say that it is also congruent to IF, congruent with the squiggle, because FI is also marked with those 2 little marks. I also have over here that DG and EH are congruent. Now those are going to be separately congruent, so I'm going to write those out separately where I've got EH is congruent to GD, because these only have 1 tick mark on them, so they're not going to be the same size as GF. If I wanted to, I could also like throw 3 tick marks up here to tell you for sure that like EC, not the same as EH, not the same as GF, etc. So that's what our congruent symbol is, and this little marker is going to be congruent. So last bit here is angles. I have those marked out in green here. And what I have is, you'll notice like here I've got these little 2 arc marks, and here I've got 3. That means each of those angles are going to only match when they have matching arcs. So this one here, KEC, is going to be congruent to HGD. So angle KEC is congruent to angle HGD. And then I also have over here that like these 2 angles are going to be the same. So I could write out angle EDG, that's this angle right here, ED to G, that's going to be congruent to FGD. Congruent to angle FGD. Hope this was helpful. Let me know if any of this doesn't make any sense, if you have questions, and I'd be happy to help out.